Oh, I didn't give her the link though.
Oh, all right. Hey, we're live. All right, here we go. Welcome everybody to our first ever Google Hangout on Air, hosted by Algonquin Regional High School's awesome teachers. I'm Julie Doyle, and I'm the instructional technology teacher here at Algonquin. Algonquin is located in Northborough, Massachusetts, and this is our first go at providing some a tech workshop, but also having teachers showcase the awesome work they're doing in their classrooms. So please feel free to ask questions during the Google Hangout using the Q&A app. I have given a link to a little tutorial about how to access the Q&A app, and that link is in the Showcase app. So there's another app that you have to find. If you're looking to locate those apps, you want to look for the app chooser, which is in the upper right-hand corner. It's like a cube with three, made up of 3 dots by 3 dots. If you click on that, you'll see the Q&A option as well as the Showcase option. So enough about logistics. Let's get started with our presentation. Oh, sorry. One more thing I wanted to include is in the Showcase app, there's a link to information about our presenters, some contact information, as well as some other information about the teachers who are presenting. So we have 3 teachers from Algonquin who will be presenting and talking about how they're using technology to advance student learning. The first teacher is a computer and business teacher. His name's Cam Martin. He's going to be talking about making global connections, using technology to make global connections. The second teacher is Spanish teacher Emily Squires. She's going to be talking about giving verbal feedback on Google Docs using an extension called Kzina. And the third teacher is a science teacher, Dan Welty, and he's going to be talking about blogging with students in high school physics. So why don't we get started? And Cam, you're up.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As Julie said, I do teach a computer essentials course at Algonquin. In the class, one of the overarching themes that we have is about connecting to people. We teach technology, but really the reality is, we want to teach our students to connect with other human beings, because that's really what it's all about. So I actually just wanted to present 3 things today that we've been doing in my classroom, not just my own, but my colleagues as well. And I kind of figured, actually, a lot of them kind of transcend subject matter, so you could probably use them yourself. So the first is Pen Pal Schools. And actually, I'd like to share my screen with you, so you can do that. And Pen Pal Schools is actually a program where students can sign up, and actually classes can sign up. And basically what happens is students sign up and they get a pen pal. But the pen pal is a little different than probably pen pals of the past. As a teacher, you can pick a course. And so some of the courses, this is a core course, a world news, Walking to Freedom, and Decision 2016, the 4 courses running at the moment. Signed up my classes for it, and a Explorer course. Students are matched with pen pals across the globe, and what's actually really cool is that it's on an individual basis. So I have students in my classes that are connected with others from Bangladesh, from South Africa, from India, all over the world, Canada. And basically, through the course, it's segmented into 6 weeks with 6 segments. The World Explorer class is the one that I've actually chosen for my own. And some of the modules are the environment, public policy, poverty, economics. And so the students actually go in and they're given they're given questions that kind of guide each week. So each topic, they get questions, they'll respond to them, they'll watch a video, and then it kind of sparks conversation with their pen pal. From a teacher's perspective, it's pretty cool because I actually have all of my students, and I can check their progress. So I can actually go in and check their weekly progress to see if my students are doing their work. which is really kind of cool. So far, my students have really enjoyed pen pal schools, um, and they've really kind of been able to express different things with people that they otherwise wouldn't have an opportunity to connect with. So that's the first, and it's been going pretty well. Another thing I wanted to show you guys was StoryCorps. So StoryCorps is actually an organization that was created to basically preserve people's stories. And this year is actually their original booth, which was set up in Grand Central Station in New York City. And it was just a booth where people were welcome to come in and record an interview. This Thanksgiving, StoryCorps actually launched their Great Thanksgiving Listen. So they encouraged people to record actually a whole generation's history in one weekend. My students, as well as the students in my colleagues' classes, were required to do this, and they were given an opportunity to kind of play with the app. But it's really cool because all they have to do basically is prepare their interview questions, and the app kind of walks them through that. One of the things I did want to share, at the end of the experience, we had our students give us feedback. And I thought one student in particular was profound. This is actually a student from my colleague's class, but she was saying that she went into an interview with her mother. She wasn't looking forward to it. She really wasn't anxious, but she didn't want to. And it wasn't until they were sitting in front of each other at the kitchen table that she felt nervous. And I'm going to quote from her: "The situation was surprisingly intimate, far more than I had anticipated. The majority of the interview was us making eye contact, her talking, and me listening. Most of the time I viewed my mother as the big bad presence in my life. Many times I found myself fuming after interactions with her. She's quick to yell and always finds some way to become angry about my messy room. After this interview, however, my perspective on her has greatly shifted. Through these questions, I discovered how much she really cares about me and the rest of our family. No matter what she does or says, I know she does it in my best interests. I feel like we've really bonded through the experience. She told me a story of when I was a baby, and awkwardly enough, we both ended up in tears. She expressed that all she wants from me is just to find happiness and to lead a fulfilling life, which means a lot to me. I know whatever I do, even if she disapproves, if it's something I'm passionate about, she'll fully support me. I'm really grateful for what this interview had to offer and a chance to connect on a deeper level with my mother to understand her more as a person." When my colleague actually saw this for the first time, we were greatly moved. We had hoped that the experience would be, valuable for some of our students, and it proves that it was. In our technological world, sometimes we don't take the time, and we're so busy, but we don't take the time to really spend the time with those that we love and listen to them. And this sentiment was kind of shared among a lot of my students, that at first it was awkward to really sit down and have an interview with someone, but they were really able to make connections with their loved ones, and sometimes even strangers or people they didn't know very well, in a way that they otherwise wouldn't have. So this is a really great experience. You can actually do this yourself too. If you go to storycorps.me, and if you want to record an interview, you can do that. You can also download their app and just record the interview straight through your phone. And then what's really cool is that the interviews get saved and shared to the Library of Congress for history. And so that's pretty cool. The last thing we've been doing in Computer Essentials to kind of connect globally is Skype-a-thon. So Microsoft launched their first Skype-a-thon last week, December 3rd and 4th, and a colleague and myself, or a few colleagues actually, we connected with a few teachers globally, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Can you see me?
Yep.
Okay, so we connected globally with teachers around the world, so that's global. My class connected with Michael Williamson, who's a principal investigator at WhaleNet. He's actually associate professor of science at Wheelock College. My students were given the opportunity to learn about whales, which interestingly enough they knew nothing about. I didn't either. It was a wonderful experience. In economics, in a computer essentials class in our department, actually connected with the Redsfield School in India, and it was actually a mystery Skype. So our students were not told where these students were from, and vice versa. And they had to prepare questions to figure out where in the world these people were actually located. It was a lot of fun. I was present for some of it. but I know that they had a great time. We had another class, another economics and psychology classes connect with Graham Laurie from London, who's currently working a day a week at Buckingham Palace and is a special advisor to HRH, the Duke of York. And they really had a great experience as well connecting. This Friday, my classes are connecting with Sarah Weldon, who actually is the CEO of an environmental and STEM education charity called the Oceans Project. So we're pretty excited about that as well. So these are just 3 initiatives that we've been doing in my class. I'm happy to speak to anyone further about them, but I kind of wanted to share them because the reality in our world, we are so easily connected, yet oftentimes don't take advantage of that. And I found that for my students, at least, it's been a great learning experience. So hopefully you can explore some of these as well and feel encouraged to try to do that even in other forms in your own classroom.
All right. Thank you very much, Cam. I think you made a great point in that, you teach a computer essentials class and business classes, but these initiatives, these activities can be done really cross-curricular. They're a great way to sort of break down the walls at your school and to have students connect. And I feel like it's so easy and accessible for us, we don't do it enough. So thank you very much, Cam, for sharing those stories.
Agreed. You're welcome.
All right, and so now Spanish teacher Emily Squires is going to tell us about how she gives verbal feedback using Kzina Mini. Take it away, Emily.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Squires. I teach high school Spanish. I teach mostly beginning and intermediate levels, so that is why I found Kzina Mini to be especially useful in how I teach writing and just kind of showing students how grammar and vocabulary all kind of work together. So I have a few screens that I wanted to share. And so I thought actually the first thing that I would share would be, I don't know if it's showing yet. Actually, I'm going to cancel that. So the first thing I thought I would mention, though, is Kzina itself is a website, a web-based site where you can go and use it for your classes, and it offers you a lot more than just the app I'm going to show you within Google Docs. Kzina, the actual site itself, allows you to have conversations with students surrounding their writing. Verbally, you can write comments, provides a lot more open-ended options and just options for students to also incorporate a lot of thinking about their writing and reflection. So there is that. It's a lot more encompassing, but for my purposes, I have found Kzina Mini in Google Docs to be exactly what I need. So I thought here I would show you how I use it quickly, because there are a few steps to it. I need to find mine. Okay. Can you guys see what I'm sharing?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. There's nothing highlighted, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So the first thing that you would do to be able to use Kzina Mini is you need to add it to your Google Doc collection of add-ons, I guess. And so I already have it installed, but basically you would just go down to here to get add-ons, and then once you open that menu, it's one of the first that pops up, and then easily enough, like from there, you're able to start using it. You don't have to do a lot to install it or anything like that once you start wanting to use this in Google Docs. So here, if I am editing student work and I have an example of an assignment that I gave a week or so ago, free of error, free of corrections, I haven't gotten to this one yet. So I thought I would use this one to show you from teacher side how you can use it. So basically, the first thing you do is you select Open Kzina Mini. Since I'm the teacher, I'm giving feedback, so I just select that. And then this is the student whose work I have selected on which to give feedback, and then you just click Continue. So from here, as I read and I am seeing things that I want to comment on and help my student and correct and help her learn, basically what you do, and actually none of this right here is incorrect, but I'm just using it for an example. So you always want to make sure you highlight what you're commenting on. Sometimes I have forgotten and I've left comments. Fortunately, I read everything that I'm commenting on, so they can find out what I'm talking about if they listen. But just to make life easier and just to be very clear with what you're leaving feedback on, it's best to highlight. So you hit the button New Feedback. And so this little menu will pop up, and up here you can actually, if you really want to get fancy, you can color code your comments. I don't do that. I just kind of as you can see, this is a very short writing piece, so I don't have that need. But you could if you wanted to. Here in this little menu, you can enter a skill, and so as I haven't started using that yet, but as I've been doing a lot of these writing pieces, I have started picking up on patterns of errors, so that's something that I actually will probably start to add down the road so I can just label things for my students as I see them. This button here you can use to do typed feedback, and then here this button is for recording, which is the one that I use the most. Then as a Spanish teacher, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to read back to my students what they are saying in English, and then they're hearing how that is incorrect, and that is enabling them to correct it in Spanish. So here, if you were to leave a comment, I would just hit start recording, blah, blah, blah. You did a wonderful job, first sentence, et cetera, and then I just hit stop when I'm done. You have 90 seconds, which for me is honestly more than enough time to leave comments, so I've never had any trouble with running out of time. And that's how you leave it, and it's saved, it's done. You can hear your comment here if you push the play button, and then as I continue reading, and I find something else that I want to highlight, I just keep going on and add new feedback, hit the microphone, start recording, and then stop when you're finished. And so I go through the entire paragraph that way. And so then over here on the right-hand side, you see a little list of comments that are highlighted for students to look at later. So for the other thing that I have is, can you see this now?
Not yet. No, still see that same screen you had up before.
Okay, hold on, I'll fix it.
Okay.
All right, me.
I can see you.
I will select the other one now. So then I think it's this one. This one. It's hard to tell on the thumbnail. Okay, see now?
Yes, thank you.
Yep. And okay, so at the top here there should be in bold Open Kaizen and Mini from the add-ons. Is that what everybody sees?
Yep.
Okay. So this is what students will now see. So all they have to do is, once again, they need to add it on if they haven't done it already, and my students will have done this when I explain to them the writing process, and then just need to open it again. The menu pops up, and so now they can listen.
Hello, Michaela. So here we have.
And listen to my comment, and then they can go in and they can edit whatever I've commented on, unbold the things that I've bolded also, and then when they're done, they can hit the trash button, and comment is gone. Hopefully this is corrected, and it's just the normal sentence or paragraph, whatever, free of my comments and corrections. So I think that was, let me check my notes. Yep, so that's about it for, am I still screen sharing? Okay.
Yes, yep, yeah, now we see you.
Okay, so basically it's very rudimental compared to what the website offers, but for my purposes, it's very useful. I also was thinking that Kaizen and Mini, or even Kaizen itself, would also help students with peer editing. And also, one thing I am going to later incorporate, like the second step after students have received their comments, is for them to describe to me how they have corrected and the changes that they've made, just to help them internalize more what they are learning. So there are, aside from just offering straight feedback to students, there are other levels of commenting and feedback that this enables students to receive. And also for students to hear exactly what I'm explaining to them as if I were sitting next to them, it's very different than just looking at the crazy markings that I write on paper. And I have found, especially last year when I finally got into the rotation of using this, giving them feedback, having them listen and correct, it was really very effective. And this was one of the few times I've actually seen a really good improvement in overall writing, just because I think that hearing verbal comments, especially from your teacher helping you, is way more personal than scribbling on a piece of paper. And for me, their writing really has improved, and they have really good opportunity to work with you and feel like they're working with you. So those are my thoughts.
Oh, excellent. So thank you, Emily. I think, once again, you provided an example of something that isn't only effective in a foreign language class, but it could be effective in many different classes, in many different disciplines. I think what you and I had talked about previously, and I'm not sure if you mentioned that, so I apologize if you have already, but you talked about how this has actually saved you time. Is that correct?
I totally meant to include that.
Yes.
Yes, it saves me a lot of time because they can also hear my thought process as I'm reading what they're writing. And sometimes I have students that write very excellently, and I can help them really improve and just build upon what they've said. And then other students who do not have strong writing skills, they can hear me trying to process what they're saying, and I think that kind of communicates to them maybe they didn't put enough effort in, but also maybe they also have a lot to learn. So, and it does. Speaking out loud as you're thinking and having it recorded for their use later really does save me time. Anything that can get me away from writing on papers is a huge time saver. And I also really feel that the quality of what I'm able to give them is so much higher than comments on a paper, even just type comments, because I used to do that in Google Docs. And still that took time, and I think that this is just a personal level, and I think that it also shows that you took the time and they can hear your comments and feedback and thoughts. And you can also say encouraging things while you're commenting, and I also think that goes a long way.
It totally does. Hearing the teacher's voice give you encouragement, I think, is really effective. I also like sort of an extension of what you were doing and having the kids reflect on the mistakes that they made, and the sort of writing process, I think, is excellent. To do that verbally is really, really helpful for both you and the student. So thank you very much. You did a nice job presenting. And we are now going to move on and have Dan Welty, high school physics science teacher, present about blogging in the physics classroom. So take it away, Dan.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
You guys hear me okay?
Good. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Yep, my name's Dan Welty. I teach physics here at Algonquin. And I'm going to talk about student blogging in my class. And last year I did a project called Genius Hour that a lot of viewers may know. And my students basically blogged just to as a log of their project and where they were in the project. They also did some commenting on each student's blogs as well. But this year I decided to take it up a notch and really have them starting blogging from September on. Whereas Genius Hour was January on, second half of the year. But I got the idea at FlipCon 15 that some math teachers were having students blog their solutions. So it was students not just showing their math work, but explaining why they chose the steps they did to solve the problem. And I thought this would be a great idea for my physics students to do. And so we did some problem solving. We also did times where they actually just did activities instead of handing them in on paper as a blog. They blog the activity. Now, most of those activities you'll see that they blog about, they have a choice as to what they do. So it's a choice as of what video they're going to do or some event. So I really want to make their blog kind of this digital portfolio of what they do all year. And it's also a lot of highlighting their choices and how they want to learn and apply the physics. So let's get right to those blogs, actually. And let's figure out the screen here. All right. Can you guys see that?
Not yet, but now we can.
See it? All right, let's see. So let's see. Let's see if this works. So if you go to my weltyphysicsblogspot.com page and you'll see all the honors physics blogs there. We can take a look at one. Let's look at Kate's blog. Let's see, where is it? Right there. So we can scroll down to the bottom super quick. But she introduced herself and what she does. Her first post was actually an activity we did based on describing the motion of runners. She chose some sprinters here and included a YouTube link and some physics stuff there. We also did some free fall stuff there that she blogged about as well. And then we got to finally actually blogging about a problem solution. So let me get you to the beginning of that somewhere. And Kate did a fantastic job. She's very, very organized, so very detailed description. We used, with the iPads in our class, she also used Notability to make her diagrams on those. And then she really described the work, showed the math workout, her sine function there, vector components. And so these blogs were up for all the students in my classes to look at as they prepared for a test. So they actually had full access to these to go over all these homework problems. And 4 students blogged per problem. So if they didn't like a solution, they could find 3 other students who blogged the same problem. So it gave them a lot of choice to do that. All right, let's see. Another one here to show, hold on, is Jimmy. So he did the same thing here, just another viewpoint of different blog layout. This was actually the latest activity we did on work and power, and he really defined these concepts, chose some objects he wanted to do work on in class. Here's him lifting, lifting a notebook with a spring scale, that's great. Doing no work, they got a little fun with the pics there. And then trying to generate 1 horsepower by running up the stairs, and they kind of took pictures and data for that too. So it's really something students are catching on to and kind of archiving everything they do in a given year here. So let's see, let's go back. All right. Oh, I'm back, right?
Yep.
Okay, fine. So one great thing, I tweeted out a few weeks ago to a physics teacher in Canada, Heather Teismeyer, if she'd be willing to collaborate and have her students read my students' blogs and somehow my students get to comment. So it was great. She actually did it last week during Thursday class, and she had her students actually reading all the blogs and commenting on the blogs. And she made it a real assignment, and I wanted to show you that real quick. Actually, yeah, I do have it right here. Yep, there it is. So this was actually the assignment she gave to her students. So she made it, it wasn't just, hey, go comment on these students' blogs. It was, this is an actual assignment she was going to grade. She actually did, it was great that she read all my students' blogs and kind of outlined for her students what they would see. She kind of was promoting digital citizenship as well, and kind of how to comment on a blog post, what to do, what not to do. And also she had a great rubric for it, where she was assessing her students on kind of 4 levels about using physics terminology, concepts, and then communication of ideas. So I was really fortunate that she took it really seriously and to make it an actual assignment for her kids to do. So we're in the process now of actually going back through those blogs, and my students are going to then comment on those blogs, on the comments. So let me show you one of those. As soon as I get it back up here. Let's see. All right, so let's go to Kelly's blog. So here's Kelly's blog right here. If we scroll down, she has a bunch of comments, 4 comments. We can look at those real quick. So there's one that I did. Hey, well done. Sorry, there's an announcement there. Welcome to Algonquin. They had some trouble commenting. Google was blocked, or Blogger was blocked at their school, so the teacher there, Heather, had to go back and post for some of her students, for Sabrina, for Jill. Garrett was able, obviously, to get right in. So it's great. Kelly's going to see these comments, and then she's going to reply to each of these comments to those Canadian students in Ontario. So a great thing for them to kind of reach out and connect with those students. All right, one last thing. The other thing that she did was she actually, that teacher blogged about it. And this is her blog. So Heather Teismeyer actually, oop, that's not right. There we go. Taking physics across the border. She just posted this on Tuesday. Even posted a map that it's about 13 to 14-hour drive from Manitoulin Island all the way to Northborough. And we were actually live tweeting, direct messaging each other at that time that her kids were blogging or commenting. So that was really great to kind of hear that she was doing it right in the same time as our class. And so it was great to see her. Here were pictures of her kids actually commenting on those blogs. They're a BYOD school, so you can see what devices they have. She posted what challenges her kids had, the next steps. And we're looking to see that since our classes meet at a similar time of day on a Thursday, and we're seeing if we can actually get our classes to do kind of the same activity during that time via Skype or Google Hangout, and really kind of take that pen pal an even further step there with the kids from Ontario.
All right, thank you so much, Dan. That was And I think, as you were talking at the beginning about math teachers having kids blog about solutions to problems, I was a former math teacher, and it was really valuable for me to have students write about the problem-solving process. So it was really good feedback to the teacher, and it's so much more of sort of a thorough assessment rather than just looking at the numbers and the steps of the problem being done. So often, if I didn't include that, it would really look as though a kid understood what they were doing. But then when I included sort of the writing piece or the explaining piece, I realized, oh no, not so much, and that then told me it was time to go back and help that student, to further understand, to reteach the topic, or to provide more resources to advance their learning. Yeah. So important, once again, like what you're doing, not only in high school physics, but in so many other classes. Can we blog? And the other thing they talk about, the fact that when kids are writing, and they're writing for the world and not just for their teacher, their writing skills improve, and they really, think a lot about their written expression, and it's such an important skill for us to be teaching our kids to go on to college and to be prepared for a job. They're looking for, applicants and workers who have these great skills. So thank you very much.
Thanks.
So I think that about wraps it up for our Google Hangout on Air, the first ever Algonquin Teacher Showcase. I did want to encourage all of our listeners to access the presenter contact information, because I'm sure Cam and Emily and Dan would be happy to help you out, discuss further whether or not you're a teacher at Algonquin or maybe from another school. We'd love to sort of start that interaction and collaboration going, and to have you give this a try in your classroom. So I thank you all for watching our presentation, our broadcast, and I'm going to get a little corny now, but as the title said, I hope that in this holiday season that you all tech the halls with lots of learning. All right, signing off. Take care. Bye-bye.